I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Right. Fucking thing sucks.
Burn it down!
Hi, everyone. I'm Rick Molinax, and this is Burn After Reading Live. How you guys doing today? All 7 of you. I think one of those might be me, too. That's okay. This kind of just was a spontaneous... Oh, hold on. Time out. I'm sorry. We have Ashley Schaefer. Ashley, my man. How you doing, buddy? And yes, well, someone left. We're down to 6. We're down to 6 now. That's okay. That's okay. I'll see if I can get it down to 0 at the end of the live stream. We'll see how it goes. So, I wanted to do this live stream for a little practice. I'm still learning this. I'm a novice, and I don't expect a lot of people to pop up today since it's just a preview of what's to come. But this coming Good Friday at 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, don't miss the live stream where my guest, Lisa O'Brien, host of the Based in Fact podcast, joins me to discuss the so-called evidence against Terry Hobbs. This is in relation to the West Memphis 3 case. On May 5th, 1993, in West Memphis, Arkansas, 3 8-year-old boys, Christopher Byers, Stevie Branch, and Michael Moore, were savagely beaten, tortured, hogtied, and, well, murdered. Damian Eccles, Jason Baldwin, and Jesse Miskelly were arrested, tried, and convicted of the murders. They were eventually released by agreeing to an Alford plea. It's a guilty plea where they admit the state had evidence to convict them, but in return, they get to maintain their innocence. It's a screwy-ass plea. I don't like it. But some believe that the actual killer, Terry, who is the stepdad of Stevie Branch, they believe he's the guy. He's the one who did it. And while I've touched on this subject in my Forgotten West Memphis 3 review, I felt it needed to be discussed again in more detail because of the sheer idiocy of comments that I still get about it. I get people that keep chirping about the same easily refutable misinformation. So this Friday, Lisa and I are going to open up a can of whoop ass on misinformation. So don't miss it. Now, I've spoken to a few other people who have agreed to come on as guests in the near future, and keep in mind things are subject to change. But some of the guests include Robert Lynch. He is an advocate and the administrator for the Maura Murray Strength in Numbers Facebook group. Robert is a terrific human being. He's very well spoken and an amazing ambassador. In addition to running the Facebook group, he helped inspire the Acts of Kindness Challenge, which is now celebrated on Maura Murray's birthday every year. And he's someone I'm very proud to call my friend. I'm looking forward to my conversation with him as to how he got involved and other Maura Murray related discussions. And another Maura Murray advocate I'm excited to have on Burn After Reading Live is Erin Larkin, host of the 107 Degree Maura Murray podcast. She also has a blog with the same name, and she's been on News Nation to discuss the Maura Murray disappearance along with Maura's sister, Julie Murray. And by the way, if you haven't listened to Julie's podcast, Media Pressure, please do so. It is, in my opinion, the definitive take on Maura Murray, and who best to talk about it than her sister, a relative. Now, on the live stream, Erin will discuss a theory she has on the disappearance. Outside of the family, she's one of the most knowledgeable people I know on the subject, and I'm excited to have her on. Also on the docket is Crime Geek, a true crime YouTuber who has published some great episodes. She's actually in the chat now, and she's done a great job covering the Parkland High School shootings. And what's great about her episodes is how she is victim-centered, and that's so important. By doing that, it really puts emphasis on things. The ones who are lost are not mere nameless faces. They are people we can relate to, and she does a great job conveying it. So please go check out her channel. Now, this other upcoming guest is going to be different. I am not going to cover true crime or a disappearance case with this person. Instead, I'm going to discuss, or I'm going to go outside the box and have a little bit of fun. True crime can be very taxing. It's very taxing to talk about. It's very draining, and it can be very depressing. The things that I have covered so far, to be honest, I don't enjoy it. It's informational. So I wanted to do something that I could enjoy in this platform. And my upcoming guest is a writer for the horror genre. And anyone who knows me personally knows that I love the horror genre. I watch a horror movie every single day in October up to Halloween. And this person's name is David Bergatino, and he is an author of several novels as well as video game producer and writer. He's worked for Disney, Nickelodeon, and he's been involved in quite a few popular franchise licenses, I should say. And to name a few, he wrote the novel adaptation for Wes Craven's New Nightmare. It wasn't your average run-of-the-mill adaptation either. Bergatino does much more than just adapt the movie. He adds to it. Scattered throughout his novelization of Wes Craven's script are excerpts from Bergatino's own journal, written over the course of the 2 months in which he wrote the novel. These journal entries depict Bergatino himself dealing with troubling dreams that echo the situation in the script he is adapting. Also included with the journal entries are newspaper clippings detailing events that occurred in the previous year, real events that found their way into Craven's script, as well as letters from someone trying to contact Bergatino regarding his book in a matter of life and death. It blurs the line between fiction and reality. And I'm excited to discuss this with him, among other things like the several video games he wrote, including The Walking Dead Destinies and the upcoming Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And that's coming out this June. Now, I'm going to play previews for New Nightmare, The Walking Dead Destinies, and Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the video game. And I hope you enjoy.
Rex keeps him down there. Who? The mean old man with the claws.
Look, Heather, let me cut to the chase. How would you like to join us in the definitive nightmare?
Well, I thought Wes stopped doing horror movies.
Do you know he actually told me he hadn't called me in the last 10 years because he hadn't had any really scary nightmares?
Hey, Tiger. Hi, Julie.
You haven't shown him any of the films you've made, have you?
Anyhow, he's right in the middle of the script.
Which means he's having nightmares again.
He's very excited about it.
The nightmares?
No, sweetie, the script. And you should be too, because you're the star. I guess evil never dies, right? Fans, God bless them, they're clamoring for more.
Dylan's fine.
I'll be back in no time.
You're fine.
Dylan!
No time.
You didn't let him watch the movie on TV, did you?
Movie? Robert, he didn't watch anything on TV.
Have you been having nightmares?
However it happens, nightmares when the story dies,
Dylan, what's the matter?
the evil is set free.
You're saying Freddy is this ancient thing?
Right. Current version. Now that the films have ended, the genie's out of the bottle. Miss me? What the hell is going on, Nancy?
Bitch! Help me.
Why are you calling me Nancy, John?
Freddy's dead. Eat your maker. You're gonna have to make a choice.
What kind of choice?
Whether or not you're willing to play Nancy. One last time.
Now don't panic. No one is going anywhere. Last thing we need is for everyone to be running off in the dark. I'm keeping this group together, alive. And I've been doing that all along. No matter what. I didn't ask for this. I killed my best friend for you people. Well, go on. There's a door. Let's see how far you get. No takers? Fine. But get one thing straight. You're staying. This isn't a democracy anymore.
PlayStation.
So yeah, I wanted to show a little bit of what Bergantino does, and we're both Ohio kids too. As a matter of fact, Wes Craven is as well. The three of us, but I think they went off to do much better things. So these things are also cool to me too, because going to the Walking Dead Destinies, it broke my heart when Shane died. He was my favorite character in the show. It was my favorite first two seasons. So I always wondered what would have happened if Shane would have been the one to survive and live, and how that would go. So the video game gives you these different scenarios, and that's one of them. Um, I don't want to get too much into this because it will be covered when I speak to Bergantino. But when I read the Wes Craven's New Nightmare novel adaptation, I thought that I thought it was real. Like, that's how naive I was. I thought, oh, okay, they're doing this thing where Freddy's actually the story of Freddy is manifested in this evil entity, and it now that the movies are done, well, the evil is set free, and but it likes this form of Freddy. It likes being in that kind of style, and I thought that was interesting, and a term that wasn't really used at the time that I ever heard was meta. Um, when I was reading the novel, and when I was reading what was going on with Bergantino and his journal entries, I thought, "Oh my god, something happens towards the end," and I thought all this stuff was really happening, but that was the mind of a 14-year-old boy that I was at the time. And hello, Ditch. Hello, Ditch Comfort. How you doing? And hello to everyone. Um, so anyways, there's a funny story about how I met David Bergantino due to all of that, and so I can't wait when we discuss it and share it. That'll be a lot of fun. And Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I was afraid of clowns growing up. My parents thought it would have been they thought it would be a great idea if they decided to decorate my room with clown pictures and have a clown doll sitting on my dresser drawer. And you know, when you see the movie Poltergeist, that it's not a good idea. So that bothered me for a long time. And a funny story, one time when I was sleeping in my bed, and man, it's like, it's nighttime, and at nighttime your fears run wild. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm looking at this doll, right? And I'm just like, oh my God. And you think, did it move? Did it move? You close your eyes. I want to make sure it's still there and all that. And so finally, I was getting tired. I was finally starting to fall asleep. All of a sudden, I hear boom. My eyes open up. The clown is gone. I scream my ass off. My parents come into the bedroom asking me what the fuck is going on. I said, the clown is trying to kill me. The clown is trying to kill me. And the doll just fell because it's top heavy. It was just the right place at the right time, and it finally happened. Finally, they got rid of that shit. Thank God. So anyways, I went a roundabout way to talk about Killer Clowns. So when I heard that movie was coming out, I was pretty excited, and I watched it. I don't know if it was Showtime, HBO, or Cinemax. During that time in the late 80s, that was the premium channels that we had, and it was on one of those, and I watched it. And some of the things that I watched was unnerving, but a lot of it was very enjoyable. Was it HBO? Yeah, it probably was. Yes, Nintendo. There we go. Yeah, the if it was HBO, that's where I watched it. And so it's just so funny that now the guy that I eventually got to be friends with, not only was writing my favorite franchise of Nightmare on Elm Street and Freddy Krueger, now he's doing this video game, which has always been his white whale, because he wanted to write a sequel. He wanted to um, do a series out of it, and just these things don't they don't always pan out when you pitch these ideas. Again, I don't want to give too much away, but he also pitched an idea not just for Freddy versus Jason. And if anyone knows anything about the Freddy versus Jason thing, that thing was in development hell for like 10 years. And so many people gave their pitches, and a lot of them were fucking stupid. But David also, getting into the game media, he also had a great idea to not only do a movie, but to also coincide a release for a video game. But I'll let him explain a lot of that when we talk. But there is a book out there. If you go on Amazon, it's called Slash of the Titans. And he actually talks about it. It was cheesy. I didn't like the art direction, Crime Geek, at all. Like, I guess I had too much expectations for Freddy versus Jason. I just kind of wanted to fit it into the 80s. But I felt that the director, it had too much of an Asian flair that just, it works for like something that if it might be The Ring. And to be honest, it wasn't that bad. He also directed Bride of Chucky. I just didn't like the art direction. I didn't like all the saturation and colors. I didn't like the whole like, oh, Freddy died by fire, Jason by water. How can we use that? I didn't particularly like it. And I understand you can't overthink a horror movie. I mean, you watch a lot of them. Why the fuck do they run upstairs when they should just leave the door? Why do they not get into the car, but instead go into the, weathered barn where there's a bunch of chainsaws, right? I think what I liked about Nightmare on Elm Street is that initially, it was very cerebral. It was cerebral films. They were enjoyable. They were still popcorn flicks, but you just felt like there was a lot of heart in the story. It wasn't your basic Friday the 13th method, which, by the way, I love. I love that in a much narrower way. Oh yeah, Death Becomes Her. That's a good one. Let me see what else we got here. I did the same to my son. Someone gave me a huge stuffed clown taller than me. I thought it would look so cute in my boy's room. I didn't know until years that I was traumatizing my child. Yeah, it's weird. There's a real they call it something. I don't know what it is. But you want to know what's ironic about that whole thing is that even though I had that fear, and I don't have that fear today, by the way, I just don't have that fear. But then it turns out that one of my crushes as I went on was Harley Quinn. So go figure, right? Does that play into it? I don't know. But it's weird how that shit turns out. Yeah. Yeah, I think John Wayne Gacy, I could see how that can ruin that for people. Run into the old barn where the wood is rotten. Hook some pitchforks, chainsaw, axes. Great idea, right? But then I guess it wouldn't be a horror movie because if they actually thought logically, then it would be over in 15 minutes. But I do love that about horror movies is that you can have the really good cerebral stuff and then you can have like the really low hanging fruit type stuff that's just satisfying in a different way. And I love the Friday the 13th series. Some things don't make sense, like how did Jason go from a dead child to a grown man in a span of a day? How did some of these movies, as their continuations, how did we go from Friday the 13th when it's now Saturday the 14th and the 15th and so on and so on? That was always interesting to me. Halloween 1978 was my jam. Hey, that is the horror movie. It is. It's the horror movie. On Halloween, that has to be the most watched horror film of the month, right? I mean, before there was Freddy and Jason, there was Michael Myers. And yeah, you had Leatherface before all that, but I think Michael Myers really took off. OG slasher flick. My mom had a side hustle as a clown when I was growing up. Cool. John Wayne Gacy, Bundy, Dahmer ruined it for me for humans. Yep. Yep. But you want to know, it's weird. A lot of the horror movies I watched as a kid, there were a lot, I just found them fun. They didn't really scare me. Like, for example, when I watched the Nightmare on Elm Street series, it didn't scare me. Friday the 13th didn't scare me. Weirdly and oddly enough, The Exorcist didn't scare me. Now, it unnerved me, which I think is different because to me it was more sad. I'm like, this is just sad. What's going on is sad. But the movie that scared me, horror movie, was the remake of Night of the Living Dead, 1990, which was the the directorial debut of Tom Savini. I love that guy. And I remember my father and I, we in November we always took about a couple days worth trip to Virginia, bordering West Virginia. And usually what we would do is the day before we would return back to Ohio, we would go see a movie. Sometimes we went with family, and sometimes it was just me and him, or maybe his best friend Roger. He would sometimes come along too. So we had dinner with our family, and we decided, okay, we're all going to go see a movie. And it was a small theater. It was playing two movies, and one of them was Flatliners with Julia Roberts, Kevin Bacon, and the other one was the remake of Night of the Living Dead. And we all know remakes usually don't live up to the original. Sometimes they do, but not very much. And let me see. Were all the characters swapped with black people or people wearing dresses? Pretty normal. This is crazy woke world. I don't know. But anyway, so most of the family, and when I say most of the family, a couple of uncles, my dad, his best friend Roger, who came with us, they went to go see Flatliners. Me and my grandmother decided that we are going to go see Night of the Living Dead. And so we do that. And I think I made it right to where she got to the barn. I want to say before one of the main characters, Ben, showed up. So the cemetery scene happened. Barbara is leaving. She's getting away. She gets to the barn. As far as we know, she's alone. But then it turns out there are some zombies that are in that area. And it's just getting freaky. And at that point, I look at my grandma and I tell her, I'm gonna go watch Flatliners. And so I felt bad because I left her alone. And I went and I sat with the rest of my family and I watched Flatliners, and it was less scary. But I felt guilty leaving my grandmother in there. And then I would say, I don't know, about a half a year after that, my dad got it on VHS at our local video rental stores, back in the day when we had those. And I remember watching it, and I was on the couch, and I had, I had covers, and there were times where I had to like close my eyes and put the covers over my head because that shit scared the hell out of me. And what really did it was the makeup effect. They made the eyes look milky. Like they're like basically like, eyes can tell a story. Like Freddy Krueger, the one thing that Robert Englund, the guy who plays him, wanted, he wanted the eyes to be the humanity. Like he still wanted a little bit of humanity in all that makeup that he had. And but with these zombies, they didn't have, like, they really did a good job getting rid of that humanity. And Cold Truth, are you talking to me? Are you saying you love that I have this beautiful memory? Or are you talking to someone else? That traumatized me. And in fact, it traumatized me so damn much that it gave me nightmares until I was an adult in 2001. So from 1990 to 2001, I had reoccurring nightmares of these zombies. It was absolutely terrible. Hello, Jamie. How you doing? So for anyone that might be coming in late, which is not a lot, basically I just kind of gave a very small and brief rundown on what's to come with Burn After Reading. I got a handful of guests, and one of the things that I'm doing is not everything I want to do is going to be true crime based. I would like to do other things so that I can enjoy doing them. Like I appreciate the work that I do with the other true crime stuff, but it can bog you down because it is depressing stuff. And unlike other content creators, um, you know, I don't I don't forget what this is about, the victims of those cases. So sometimes it's good instead of just taking breaks. I figure like, well, why don't I try other things that might be a little more fun? Yes, with your family. Perception. Yeah, but yeah, I just wanted to talk about that story about you know how Night of the Living Dead, and it's really that particular movie because if I watch the original, that doesn't do it for me. If I watch Dawn of the Dead or Day of the Dead, it doesn't do it for me. It was just this particular movie, and also the fact that like these zombies, you can't reason with them. They're like a great white shark. It's going to do what it's going to do. It's a force of nature. Hope to come on your show sometime. Glad you're going live. Absolutely not. You're banned from my show, Cold. Can't come on. I am kidding. Actually, I would love to have you on. I'd love to do a panel discussing, whatever it is to discuss, whether it's the crazy actors in the Delphi case or something else. I think that would be awesome. We'll watch whatever you cover. I appreciate that. Hopefully, whatever I cover will have some interest, something that will be informative. I know not everyone's into sports, but one thing that I would love to cover, if you notice a pattern with some of the things that I do like to cover some things that are, I call it perception isn't reality. And if you're from Indiana, actually, if you're probably from any 49 other states, you'll probably hate this. But I would love to cover uh, the whole Tom Brady is a cheater thing because, like, with Spygate and Deflategate, um, I think there was a lot of misconception there. And so I would love to cover that. Now, if you're not into sports, that's going to be boring, you know? Cold, cold truth versus burn. How ironic. Fire and ice. We can have fire and ice topics. That's pretty neat. I like that. There are still so many salty people about Deflategate, right? There is. And look, I can understand if whatever was going on with the Patriots or whatever was going on with Tom Brady, if there was a steep decline after, I get it. I do. But people didn't understand, and I didn't understand this too, to be fair, but like the ideal gas law. And if someone's wondering what the fuck am I talking about, in Deflategate, they thought the Patriots cheated because they thought they deflated the footballs under the appropriate measurement. And those measurements are based on basically just what I think the Wilson footballs say. So it wasn't even technically an NFL thing. I think they said keep it to like 12.5 to what? Like 14.5, 13.5, something like that. And so during a game, the other rival team thought that, well, the Patriots are cheating because some of these footballs are under 12.5. What the fucking idiots didn't realize is there's this thing called the ideal gas law. That when you're in temperature where you're dealing with moisture or cold, the temperature, the air in the football, the air pressure is going to go down. So that's not particularly cheating. It's not cheating. And then also, when the balls were properly inflated in the second half of that game, because the first half is when they reported it, during the second half, they had properly inflated footballs, and the Patriots did better. Where the fuck is the advantage in that? They could have solved this by asking any kicker or punter. Very true. And I don't want to stay on this topic for too long, especially for people who aren't into sports and things like that. But, for the NFL commissioner to say that what Tom Brady did with deflated footballs is as comparable as taking steroids is about the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. Even if he did do that, that would be the dumbest fucking comparison. But it didn't happen. Footballs just deflate naturally. And then the year after, the NFL decided they were going to engage all the footballs before, during, and after the game. And do you know what the NFL did with that data? They destroyed it. And do you know why they destroyed it? Because it didn't go with what they thought it was going to be, and then it would make their punishment towards a player look pretty bad, which they've done that before. Hey Frosty, how you doing? I know you said this is your first time, so thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And hey, you guys had a great quarterback in Andrew Luck. That's a guy who retired way too early. Way too early. So, yeah, actually, what Cold Truth said earlier, that's something I would like to do. I would like to have more guests on. I would like to do panels because I think when you have a panel too, like it makes your job easier. It's not just you talking. Everyone just kind of bounces off everyone. I think that's a great thing to do. So I'm excited about that. So we'll figure that out, Mel, when it comes time to it. Let's see what else we got. But yeah, like I said, I'm just still trying to flesh things out with this channel. Really am. Oh, how many of you? I mean, I know a few of you are familiar with the Delphi case. I know Schaefer. I know you are, and Mill. I know you are. I know Crime Geek to a point. Cleo. I'm just going to throw this out here. What do you guys think of that whole interaction between Rick Snay and Noe? Oh, and you too, Jamie. You know about it too. I didn't mean to forget you. I got to tell you, like what I saw from the Noe thing. Oh, Frosty. Okay, Frosty, can you give us any additional insights? Would that be possible? I'll share it on the screen. And if Frosty decides to do that, but just based on everything that I heard and then what I saw on video, I hate to say it because what the hearing was about and what the procedure is about, what the case is about. If it wasn't for something so serious, it would be a lot funnier. And let me see, what do we got here? Hi, everyone. I think they were nuts. I heard Snay and his wife are separated now. Wow. Noah was harassing people all morning. Yeah, I did see that. He walked up to Jinx at 5:30 a.m. I did not see anything in the courtroom, but I did hear Noah heckled Rick when I was in the stairwell, and I did hear that too. He was calling him Ricky Dicky the Leaky, which I think really pisses off Snay. It just seems like it don't take much for Snay to go off. Noah's harassing people. Oh yeah, I already saw that. I think all of this is so immature and a lot of crazy people involved in the Delphi case community. Well, yeah, there's no argument here. I meant to go to, oops. There was one other thing. Oh, I guess there wasn't. So Yeah, absolutely right. There was no winner in this one. I totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah, and I will say this: the way that Rick Stay has handled things has been completely immature, and the way that Noe has handled things have is completely immature, and for different reasons. And you know, Rick Snay has brought this up to me several times, where it's like, well, you know, he talks shit about my wife. There's things that he said about his daughter accusations, and I'm not going to mention it here because I don't know if it's substantiated, and it's a disgusting accusation, and especially if it's not true, that's not something that I want to echo. Um, it did because the media, yeah, they posted, or they actually talked about it on Core TV, and I think there may have been a few articles written up, and you just hear YouTubers, and it's like it's a comedy act. I think Rick is his own worst enemy. Yeah, and I think he's a narcissist. I really do. He's really made a lot of this about himself. And no, he doesn't do anything to make anything better. He doesn't. Hi, Ruckus Rocks. How you doing? So, yeah, getting back to that, just let me put my oddly enough, my name is Rick too. Let me put myself in Rick's shoes. Um, if I knew someone was trying to needle me and instigate, and even though they said some really bad things, they said bad things about your wife, they said bad things, as far as what your kid said about you and stuff. And if I know I'm going into a hearing that is much bigger than myself, I would not react because I know the kind of reaction that they are trying to get out of me. And I told Rick this. I'm like, well, I've commented on it on his page. It's like the best thing for you to do is to not react, not to do anything. This fucking John Wayne bullshit of like, oh man, I'll get right up in your fucking face and I'll kick your fucking ass. Yeah, that's great. That's great for the movies. All right. It's great for the movies. It's not great for real life, especially when it's dealing with two murdered girls and things that are going on with this case. And look, I don't care. You have a right to believe whether or not Richard Allen is guilty or innocent. I think he's guilty based on what the evidence that I've seen. I also think that law enforcement didn't do the greatest job. I don't necessarily think that the prosecutors are doing the greatest job. I also don't think that the defense is doing a very ethical job. So there's a lot of blame to go around on this whole thing. And what I'm afraid of is that because of how everyone is reacting, be it actual people who are in the know with the prosecution, law enforcement, the defense, all that shit, YouTubers are also getting involved and they're fucking things up. And that's sad. And it's okay. It's one thing if you want to be a YouTuber and you want to cover this. That's fine. But don't make yourself part of the story. And that's what Rick did. And that's what Noe did. But I don't know. Sorry if my attention, if it seems a little off, it's just because I'm also reading the comments. Hey, and you know what? I don't think Rick Snay would have done a fucking thing even if Frank Meister did something, because I think a lot of that was just posturing. Because I even told Rick Snay, because he said if I go to Delphi, he wants to. Well, here, let me put this in context. I said that I would meet Greeno in Delphi or Carroll County, to be exact. And Rick Snay said, oh, well, if he doesn't do it, let me take his place. And it's like, what are you going to do? Huh? You going to beat me up? You going to smack me in my face? You going to chest bump me? What are you going to do? It's very clear. He's now on his YouTube. He has it right on his description page that Richard Allen is innocent. He's hugging Richard Allen's wife. You know, um, very disgusting, in my opinion. And look, it's not that Richard Allen's wife did anything wrong. So I don't think people should go after her. But it's like, really, dude? It's like, and he's already said it that no matter what happens, if Richard Allen is found guilty, he's not guilty because it was corruption. That's going to be the story. Yeah, it probably would be more of a belly bump. And I would also like to address some contradictions in Rick Snay's story. The original was he got unfairly kicked out of the court building because they didn't want him to testify. So this was all set up, right? Oh, we don't want Rick Snay to testify, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to find some arbitrary reason to kick him out. And so there's that. Then actually, he was thinking 7-8 steps ahead. And actually, it was his plan to make sure that Noe got banned from going to any future proceedings, even if it was him too that also was banned. So you had that. But then he said, and is most likely true, was that they told him he wasn't even going to testify. And so he knew that by lunch, either before or a little after, but either way, he knew he wasn't going to. And so all this happened after the fact that he knew he wasn't going to testify. So is that a little weird? Does that make sense to anyone? Absolutely. Look, expect making a Murderer or Paradise Lost type of that kind of coverage and docuseries. Expect that to happen. That's what this whole case is going to be if Richard Allen is found guilty. It's going to be a part of the innocence fraud. Someone said something above. I want to see what they said. Bear with me. Absolutely. Absolutely. I will not relinquish that. I, with full confidence, believe that the West Memphis Three are guilty. I have no doubts about that whatsoever. And it just shows that when you got a $10 to $20 million defense, you can get someone out. They may not be exonerated, but you can get them out. And I would not be surprised if that happens down the road with Stephen Avery. Now, he doesn't have the same kind of backing of 10 to 20 million. He doesn't have these celebrities, but I can see Kathleen Zellner maybe cutting some kind of weird deal. I could see that happening. And, I'm sorry, I don't get it. I don't believe murderers should be able to walk free. And that's something that I always hear in the West Memphis 3 thing. If they were really guilty, they wouldn't allow them to walk free. Does anyone remember one of the girls from the Manson family just recently got parole? They will let murderers walk under parole. Oh, look who we have here. You know what, though? I said 3 days before on my live stream that my goal was to get Noe banned. You guys say it's not all about me, but almost 3 weeks later, what are you talking about? Me. Yeah, because you are coverage, and you did make it about you, didn't you? You made yourself look like a fucking clown. That's what you did. But it's nice that you're on. Yep, let's keep the peace. Let's do that. But like I said, there are There are parts of your story that don't make sense. There are some contradictory things there, Rick. Give it 2 months, then we'll see if you're still talking shit. Well, I know what I'll care about. I'll care about the victims and their families. I ain't caring about a fucking murderer. Yeah, see, that's it. It's about the numbers for you, isn't it? As a matter of fact, when someone asks you to cover other cases, and what did you say about that? Oh, well, I don't get as much coverage. But Delphi, man, you found your bread and butter, didn't you? Well, the difference between me and you there, Snay, is the fact that I ain't trying to monetize my fucking channel. I'm not trying to get on Patreon, okay? I have the option to do those things. I don't do them. Yeah, if it were about views, man, misinformation would reign. All right, I think we need to put boy here. You don't sit there and fucking say that shit. Calling people those kind of names. What's wrong with you? Little baby boy's on a timeout. You see, that's what they do. They want to sit there. They'll go for the low hanging fruit. Oh, there's only 18 people watching. Oh, I have more viewers, so that means I'm more right, right? They go for that. He doesn't want to talk about. Notice how he doesn't want to talk about the contradictions in his statements. Cleo. Yeah, he just called Jamie a cunt because that guy. Yeah, that's Rick Snay. Because he's the kind of guy who would rather be friends with the father of their kid who's in prison for child pornography. Let's be friends with that guy. Let me go ahead and hug the wife of a guy who's accused of murder. That's who he's going for. And I wouldn't be surprised, since he can't get inside the courthouse, he'll probably have a nice big old fucking blowing horn like Blowhorn Betty, fucking squawking his shit, thinking he's really doing something. Oh, by the way, the other thing he wanted to talk about, he was going to go outside and talk to the press. Notice how no one gave a shit about what he had to say. Nobody. Because I was talking about him, and ears will burn and they will go ahead and they'll go where they're being mentioned. And like I said, I'm fine with whatever you believe. Whether you believe Richard Allen is innocent, whether you're not sure, whether you think he's guilty, that's fine. I have no problem with that. I happen to believe he's guilty. Could I be wrong? Maybe, but I don't think so. And you know what? That's not anything anyone can ever say about me. I've never been to jail. I've never been to prison. Now, I'm not going to browbeat anyone who ever has. But that's the difference between someone like me and him. I go with my responsibilities. I have a career. I do things. I don't quit my job because I want to be famous on YouTube. You see, I do this as a passion project on the side. I don't try to make it my whole life. And he wants to, okay, and that's another thing I want to talk about. He wants to talk about being a man and stepping up and defending his wife, right? Well, where was he to step up when Anthony Greeno threatened his wife and his child or children. I don't know if he has more than one or whatever. I don't really look into Rick Snae's life, and I really don't care. Where was he being a man then? Oh no, he's simping on his fucking on Anthony Greeno's show and then having Anthony Greeno on his. That's what he's doing. That's the kind of man he is. But say what you want about me, baby, but I don't got any misdemeanors and I don't got any felonies on my record. And I'm saying that collectively with Snae and Greeno, just so that's clear. Just so we know. I apologize for the silence. I know that doesn't make for good YouTube. I'm just reading the comments. So, wow, this turned out to be a little more interesting than I anticipated. I thought I was just talking about a few things. Just a few rundown on things. Yeah, if you're going to assault anything, don't let it be people. Again, it's this John Wayne bullshit. That's what it is. He says that a calm doesn't suit him. And he says that, and he kind of wears that with a badge of honor, referring to Rick Snae, Delphi After Dark. I mean, that's some childish bullshit. And it makes sense. Let's take a look. He's friends with the murder sheet 1 minute, enemies the next. Anthony Greeno, he's got beef with. Oh, now they're best buddies. How about Bob Mata? Am I saying that name right? Defense Diaries. How about him? Oh, 1 minute they're cool, and then Bob goes on his podcast and basically, I wouldn't say made fun of him, but kind of just was like, "Oh God, this situation was ridiculous," referring to the thing with Noe and Snae, and then he's got problems with that too. What are your thoughts on John Benet Ramsey? Just curious. It's kind of hard for me to say because there hasn't been a conviction or an arrest, rather. I don't believe someone broke in and did what happened to that poor girl. I can only speculate, and I want to be careful. I think it was someone in that house. That's all I can say. But I don't know. I could be wrong. I want to be careful. And I think that's what we have to be, because I don't want my assumptions to come out as some kind of facts, and then, these people, they end up getting harassed, right? We don't want that. Snae supporter K said the absolute meanest shit to me after I put out a video about my surgery. She went real life and for the jugular because I called these people out working for the defense. That is sad. Crime Geek, is that case in Ohio where the mother went on vacation? That was absolutely If that's the case I'm thinking of, that was absolutely horrible. Horrible. And there's a special place in hell for someone that would do that to a child. I mean, a child who relies on you for to survive. I mean, you have to take care of them. Got to drop, Rick. I appreciate the weekend afternoon hangout. Chat, enjoy yourselves. Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Come back anytime, and just remember, feel it down in your plums, man. I sent you the video the other day, and it's sick and twisted. They even had audio. I see. I can't listen to it. I just can't. Hey, remember, Kia is a far superior machine to the BMW. Never forget that. Actually, I encourage you to put stickers on my car, man. I actually own a Kia. Any day. Right. That's the whole thing that they don't understand. Like, it's almost like spy versus spy. It really is. I'm too familiar with it, and I'm trying to choose peace for my sake and my family. I choose love and life, and that's the best way to go. It really is. And to have empathy and sympathy when necessary. Hey, there's nothing wrong with a working car. A working car. That's what I always say. Sorry you're getting his angry side because I'm giving him the attention he wanted on a community post and I won't respond to him, so he's taking it out of whoever he can. Hey, all he's got is words. That's really what it is. He's got words. um, he can have them. So I think I'm going to start calling myself Mr. Irrelevant with and I say that with endearment. I think I'm going to do that because you know what's going to happen, right? Rick Snay in some way, shape, or form, and probably his girlfriend Greeno, they're probably going to some way, shape, or form they're going to discuss this, and whether I got 19 people, 21 people on my on this live stream or whatever, they're going to talk about it. So might as well call me Mr. Irrelevant. But you want to know something? For being so irrelevant, you notice he had to come on here and say something. Just like Greeno in the posts, he likes to stealth delete. He likes to post something about me, then he likes to take it down for whatever reason. So notice they have to retaliate. And when they say we're talking about them, yeah, because you're a bad actor. And when you do bad things, people are going to talk about it. Because, yeah, you are unfortunately taken away from it. But that doesn't mean we should ignore bad behavior, too. It should be pointed out. That's what I did from the very beginning with this channel. Delphi After Dark, no disrespect, because I do think you have a lot of great qualities, but I strongly disagree with what you wrote on your YouTube about Richard Allen and your affiliation with Greeno. Yeah, I mean, to know those things and to still be affiliated with him in some way, shape, or form, it's disgusting. And it just shows that, you know what? These guys' morals, not quite strong. It's very pliable, very flexible when it benefits them. So, all right. I think it's good to end it here. I didn't actually expect to even go an hour again, but it's good to actually talk to you all that have come on. I think the first part of this live stream was very positive, very good. You know, I'm not sorry for calling out bad people. I'm not. People who I think are bad, people who I think that make it about themselves. You know, they'll claim that they care about Abby and Libby, but then do the exact opposite of that. They make it a game. It's entertainment. You know, that's not me, and that's not a lot of us. It's not Cold Truth. It's not Crime Geek. You know, it's not Jamie. And I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to forget anyone's name here. Actually, stay away from my green sheep. If you go near that green Jeep, you will be sanctioned. Okay? You better know that right now. You will be sanctioned. So, again, guys, this Friday, Good Friday at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please, if you can join me and Lisa O'Brien of the Based in Fact True Crime Podcast, we're going to discuss a West Memphis 3 related topic regarding Terry Hobbs and the alleged evidence against him. I'll tell you what, you guys are going to love Lisa. She is a total badass. She is really smart. She's a general know-it-all. You guys would really love her. And if you can't catch the live stream, that's okay. Life does happen. I don't expect people to stop everything that they're doing and pay attention to what I'm doing. But if you can catch the replay of that, you should. Amazing. She actually debated Bob Ruff of the Truth and Justice podcast about the topic of innocence and guilt, and she kicked his ass in that debate. She kicked his ass. And maybe what I'll do for the live stream, if anyone wants to see that, I'll post it on this coming Friday, on Good Friday. I'll put it on the description page, and you guys should check it out. It was really good. So, thank you guys. Really appreciate all of you. Even you, Ricky Dicky the Leaky. I'll catch your ass down the road.